Right here. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Jimmy D'Onofrio. I'm with Americans United for Change and the Give America a Raise bus tour. Our first stop on the first leg of the tour was in Bangor, Maine, about 4 weeks ago. It was 9 degrees, so it's just a little different today, but the message is the same. We expanded the tour from 11 states to 20 states. So we could tell more stories about how the minimum wage is impacting hardworking Americans in this country. And we're here in Las Vegas to talk specifically to Congressman Joe Heck and Senator Dean Heller and tell them that they need to take action on the minimum wage. We need to raise the wage. Congressman Heck recently told a town hall that raising the minimum wage isn't the best way to attack poverty in this country. That we need more full-time jobs. And, I partly agree with him. We do need more full-time jobs. That is true. But a full-time job for a minimum wage worker in Clark County will only make $15,704 this year. And that is not enough to live. At 1010, you make over $21,000 a year. You can provide for your family. You can provide for yourself. With that, I want to toss it over to Annette Magnus, who is the Executive Director of Progress Now Nevada, and she has got a great lineup of speakers for us. So, Annette, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today. We are so excited to have the bus here today because we know this is going to be a really important fight that we have in front of us, and we are ready. We are ready to take this to the people and really raise our voices because we must raise the wage in this country and here in Nevada. My name is Annette Magnus, and I am the Executive Director of Progress Now Nevada. We fight every day for these types of issues because we believe it's the right thing to do. No one who works full-time should ever have to live in poverty. I just think that's completely unacceptable. The federal minimum wage has stayed the same since 2009, but prices have not. We all know that. We've seen what's happened in this country. Even at $8.25, people in Nevada, on average, will only make about $17,000 a year. That's not enough. People can't pay for the items they need every single day. This bus tour, the Give America a Raise tour, has been all over the country raising awareness about the need to raise the wage. We can all do better if we raise the wage, and we must call on Senator Heller and Congressman Heck to do the right thing. Just recently, a group of our activists went and actually met with Senator Heller, and he told us he was afraid that if we raised the wage, it would hurt jobs. I completely disagree with him. I actually believe if we raise the wage, it'll increase better jobs, and therefore people will have money in their pockets and be able to spend that money in our economy, and that helps everyone. If we were to raise the wage in Nevada, approximately 158,000 Nevadans would be impacted. That's a lot of people, but not just them. All of us will be impacted if we raise the wage. We can all do better if we raise the wage here in Nevada. Now I'd like to introduce Laura Martin. She is the Communications Director for the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Like she said, my name is Laura Martin. I'm the Communications Director for the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. This is our 20th year in Nevada fighting for social justice. And so this is why raising the minimum wage is a very important issue for us. Workers right here in Nevada are organizing to raise the minimum wage. They've already gone on strike twice, and they plan to go on strike this year as well. What they're fighting for is the dignity to earn a better wage, to earn what they're worth. Because we know that nobody can survive on $7.25 or $8.25 an hour. As our demographics change, our economy can't grow if we continue to pay people poverty wages, as only a few corporate CEOs continue to earn millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. So that is why we're standing alongside workers right here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada and all across the state to make sure that we can raise the minimum wage to keep up with our economy, to keep up with the rising price that it costs us to live here in Southern Nevada. And I'm really happy to be here today with all of these people standing in solidarity with us. And next I'm going to introduce our congressman from the 4th District, my congressman, Stephen Horsford.
Good morning, and I'm happy to be here standing with workers demanding that it's time to give America a raise. I'm here with Americans United for Change as they kick off their second Give America a Raise tour. Now, I know on the first trip, they traveled nearly 3,500 miles and stopped in 11 states. And now they're ready for round two. I want to thank Americans United for Change for what they've done and to keep up the fight on behalf of American workers. Now, we're here today because the total amount of bonuses paid to Wall Street was $11 billion, more than the total amount made by every single full-time wage worker in 2013. $11 billion in bonuses is more than every full-time minimum wage worker in America made in 2013. That is wrong, it's unconscionable, it's unfair, and it's why it's time to give America a raise. We're here because while Nevadans are slightly ahead of the curve, our minimum wage in this state is not $7.25, but $8.25. Still, that's just $17,160 a year. That is not enough to raise yourself or your family on. It's not enough to make ends meet, and it's why it's time to give America a raise. An increase to $10.10 will generate a total of $35 billion in increased compensation for working families, some $22 billion in increased economic activity for businesses, and create 85,000 additional jobs, providing an economic boost for our economy. Now, you know, my colleagues on the other side always want to talk about growing the economy, helping private sector, creating jobs. Well, that's what happens when you give America a raise. Because middle-class people who have disposable income spend it. That $11 billion in bonuses that were paid to Wall Street, that money didn't get trickled down to all of us in the middle class. In Nevada, raising the wage will directly help 158,000 Nevadans. It would boost wages by $315 million in our state. It means more money in the pockets of those who need it and those, quite honestly, who deserve it. Raising the minimum wage will not kill businesses. Plenty of them are raising the wage on their own. Many of you may know I went out and worked as an undercover congressman recently. I feel it's important when I'm home in my district to stay connected to the reality that average working people face every day. And so I served as a UPS driver, working as an apprentice under Mark. Now Mark, like most UPS drivers, is paid on average of $32.50 an hour. But you know what? The starting wage at UPS for a loader is $10 to $11 an hour. And they give full medical benefits to their part-time and full-time employees. If it's good for Costco, if it's good for UPS, then it's good for other American businesses. Raising the federal minimum wage to $10.10 would return the wage to approximately its inflation-adjusted value in the late 1960s and allow millions of additional workers to independently support their families. That's all this is. It's not some exorbitant boost. It's simply an adjustment to keep up with inflation. Now in the House, we have H.R. 1010, and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid is working on moving the bill in the Senate, but what we really need is for Republicans to get off the fence and help us pass a minimum wage hike. So my colleagues, Congressman Heck and Amodei and Senator Heller, need to step to the plate and support the millions of Americans and most Nevadans who support giving a raise to $10.10 an hour. And let me finish by saying, a lot of times people talk about the fact that we need to lift people out of poverty and to make sure that they're not reliant on social programs. Well, if you want to reduce the cost of food programs, raise the minimum wage so that working Americans can feed their families. If you want to reduce spending on housing vouchers, raise the minimum wage so that people can afford to put a roof over their heads. The real waste and welfare happens behind the doors of big chain stores that refuse to pay a living wage, and then in turn around and secure tax breaks for themselves through armies of lobbyists that they have on the Hill. So no more pointing fingers, no more blaming those who are working hard every day to provide for themselves and their families. Let's do the right thing by increasing the minimum wage. Let's leave the class of the working poor. Let's not leave them behind. It's time to do the right thing and increase the minimum wage.
Yes.
America deserves a raise.
Thank you so much, Congressman. We couldn't agree more. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Her name is County Commissioner Chris June Kiliani. Thank you so much for being here.
You know, Vegas is so wonderful because we never forget where we came from. Back in the 90s, I actually sponsored the original legislation for the minimum wage to increase it. And then Labor went out and they went to the voting booth, and we turned out not only the initiative, but Nevadan voters spoke loudly to increase our minimum wage. That's what I would like to call on my former colleagues, Mr. Amodei, Heller, and Heck. Nevadans spoke. You're comfortable. You should not worry about whether or not you get reelected because they already said we needed to increase the minimum wage here. And what about the term minimum wage? That means it's the floor. It is not the ceiling. It is the floor. It's the place where you start. And to adjust for the inflation, which is all the 1010 does, is recognizes that families can make a living wage. That is the absolute key piece. A living wage. As the Congressman Horsford said, your savings come in if you want to get rid of food stamps, people that have to rely on that. As a school teacher, I would have less kids that need free and reduced lunch if their families actually made a living to be able to buy their breakfasts and their lunches. That's where they save on the federal side if they want to be more effective. And finally, what it really says is if you've never worked as a service worker, I started out as a maid at $2.12 an hour. That was the hardest job I think I ever had. And last week I volunteered at McDonald's. I have a great respect now for what those workers have to do, and they do not make a living wage. We need to increase this. It's the right thing to do. It's the conscionable thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. So I call on those Congress people and senators who keep saying, oh, let's cut here, let's cut there. We can prove out that by paying families a decent living wage, you can reduce those federal programs, and that's where your savings can come in. I want to thank all the men and women that are here today that are our workers that build this country.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Now I'd like to take a second and introduce Francisco Morales. He is a representative from Congresswoman Dina Titus's office. Thank you for being here.
Very good, and I'm going to make this really quick because I know we're baking outside. It feels good, but it feels better to be outside with such a great group of people who are fighting for such a great cause. You know, Congresswoman Titus is a proud co-sponsor of H.R. 1010, which would lift the minimum wage. She is proud to do it because she knows that lifting the minimum wage would not only increase wages for more than 16 million Americans, but it will help lift more than 1 million people out of poverty. That is very, very important. In addition, increasing the minimum wage will provide Americans the opportunity not to work to live paycheck to paycheck. They would, raising the minimum wage would give them an opportunity to actually make enough money to accomplish their American dream. And that's why Congresswoman is co-sponsoring H.R. 1010. She knows it's the right thing to do. She knows that it's been long overdue, and we would just like to call out on our colleagues, our Republicans on the other end, who continue to push the issue forward and not talk about it when it's going to help businesses. It's going to help businesses because when you make more money, it reduces the turnover rate in general for businesses. It reduces the amount of time that they have to invest training and recruiting new workers. It just means that everybody makes more, and it helps the American worker. So again, thank you for bringing light to this important issue. Thank you for coming to Las Vegas, and thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much. All right, the next speaker we have, her name is Cassie Rice. She's a local business owner, and she's here to talk about how the raising the wage would impact her business.
Thank you, everybody. There are so many reasons to support the minimum wage, but the first thing I want to talk about is the myth that we keep hearing about that it's going to hurt jobs. As a business owner, we employ 45 to 50 people. We don't hire one person unless the demand is there. So the most important thing that we have to do is help our economy and help grow that demand. All of our businesses will do better if we have a better, stronger economy that's less dependent on the social programs. So every time I hear one of those pundits say it's going to, or one of our elected representatives say that it's going to hurt jobs, I just say we're not hiring anybody for $1 an hour if we don't need them. Not one business does that. So I believe that's one of the biggest things that we need to get out there, that no business hires anybody unless the demand is there. And after we increase our economy, I think it just promotes so much better health throughout the whole Las Vegas city and city of Henderson. And one last thing that I wanted to say is it is a moral thing. I just don't know how people can live with themselves paying someone knowing that that's not enough to live on working full-time. It's just a moral thing. So that's why I support it, and I definitely think it'll come back to our economy if we raise the minimum wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. Our final speaker is Delvin. He is actually a wage worker here in Las Vegas, and he's going to talk about how the minimum wage has impacted his friends and his family and himself. Thank you, Delvin.
Good morning. My name is Dalvin McLean, and I'm a fast food worker at McDonald's. But I'm not just representing the fast food workers in Nevada or in the United States. I'm representing fast food workers all over the nation and all over the world. We deserve a higher wage. I can't even see how people, my friends with children and everything, if I can barely make it on minimum wage, how can they survive, using government assistance and everything, all those programs? I really can't even see how that's done, and I won't accept it. But that's all right. We're gonna fight for it, and we're gonna make it happen. Because recently I've been working 2 jobs just to stay, okay. Not even, and I don't think that's right, because that's 16 hours a day. There's only 24 hours in a day. So I can't have that. We need to raise the minimum wage, and they need to run me my money. Right now. They say they don't have it, and the CEO is making $37,000 a day. I don't even get that in 2 years, but you're making that a day. And they're like, oh, we don't have it, we don't have it. Why don't you look at that profit in your pocket? Then we can speak. Right. Until then, we need to continue to fight for change, and I know it'll happen. By myself, I'm one voice, but united, we can make a difference. And I heard somewhere, we accept what we think we deserve, and I deserve more than minimum wage.
Well, thank you so much, Delvin. Thank you to all of our speakers, and thank you all for being here today. And please join us and help us fight for raising the wage. Thank you again.